Have you ever wished that you could get in touch with a loved one who passed away? Psychic mediums say that they deliver messages to bridge the spiritual gap between the living and the dead. Joining us now, Matt Fraser, who will be at Foxwoods tonight with the Medium with a Message show. So tell us a little bit, I guess the first question is, how did you know that you had this ability?
Well, actually, the ability started with my grandmother, who passed it on to my mother, and in turn passed it on to me. And you have to remember that back in those days, being a psychic or being a medium, it wasn't something that people talked about or said, you know, hey, guess what, I could speak to the dead. You know, it was very close to home, just done for close friends and family members, never done professionally. And, you know, when it was passed down to me, I remember just being 3 or 4 years old, seeing and hearing The Departed. It was almost like living the movie The Sixth Sense. And it was scary for me. I'd be pulling the covers over my head. I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to hear the voices. And no matter how hard I tried to get the voices to kind of, you know, move away or not to speak to me because, you know, I was so afraid, the louder they would become. And, you know, that's when I truly realized that, you know, I could see and hear things that other people could not.
Wow. And what do you plan to do when you're at Foxwoods? Are you going to do like live readings there?
Absolutely. Basically what it is it's a group event, and I call it a family reunion because that's basically what it is. It's an intimate setting. I try to keep it, you know, to only like 200 to 300 people, just because of the fact that my main goal is to reach as many people as possible. And I almost feel like the operator in heaven, you know, connecting the loved ones in the audience with their loved ones who had passed. I run up and down the aisles, reconnecting as many people as possible and passing as many messages as I can. And, you know, what makes me so unique to mediumship is that I'm able to get to a lot of people. I mean, I can get to 20, 30, 40 readings. One time I even got to 70 readings in a session.
Wow. Now, you said something interesting when we were just standing here. You said that you feel a lot of spirits around me, but you also had mentioned that when it comes to, you know, the loved ones that we've lost, people won't be able to connect with them right away. Tell me a little bit about that.
It takes about a year for you to connect with somebody on the other side, just because there's a ton of paperwork when you get to heaven to fill up. Just kidding. Usually there's a transition time because they have to build up enough energy to come through. And, you know, normally they give us a little bit of space because we're still grieving during that time. So it takes a little bit of about a year or so, unless they have an urgent message, like let's say it was a tragic passing or so on and so forth. That's usually what takes place. Sometimes they will come through a little bit earlier, like I said, if it is something urgent or there's just a message that they have to pass on.
Okay, so I'm going to let you do your thing. So you give me a reading.
You have like a ton of people around you, like on the other side, and I have like grandfather first, like who's stepping forward, like really quickly. He shows me like military connection, like here in this physical world. So he's either in the military or had military connection when he was here.
He did?
Because he showed me like the military uniform that he was holding up. It tells me like this is when he looked his best. And it's funny because he had like, you know, a sense of humor when he was here in this physical world, because he's actually talking about times when you were just a little girl being with him, because he showed me that you used to go over and have breakfast with him like in the early mornings, because he's saying here like he's like laughing about it, and he's like throwing change at you. So he always used to have change on him or like have change in his pockets, because he's telling me like when you receive change, like to know that it's him from the other side. So check your pennies when you get them.
Okay.
And he wants to talk about his passing, because he does tell me that there was issues in multiple parts of his body before he had actually passed. Because he's telling me here like that he was back and forth to the doctors. He was telling me here he was like going for second opinions. This was a man who like I don't want to say he didn't take care of his health when he was here in this world, but he was afraid to go to the doctors is what he tells me, because he tells me here like, you know what I'm trying to say? Because like as he shows me him back and forth, he's like, oh, you know, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Like didn't want anyone to worry about him. People thought he was going to pass at different times is what they tell me, because of the fact that he did get like sick. He tells me there was like circulation issues or like problems like within his blood. Do you remember that?
He did. He had a heart attack. We have to wrap this up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Going to continue talking to you later. But we're actually going to go over to Darren now, who, oh, there we go. We'll have the book up there too that you have right here, and we'll go to Darren now.